Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Monday Morning Magic. Today I've got Ozai the Phoenix King. So I played this in a recent mini home tournament. It was a group of 1v1s, and it did pretty well. In a 1v1, it definitely behaves like a bracket 4. In a pod, though, it acts a little more closely to a bracket 5. It's really good. And I think it got me to the semifinal round of 8 people. It was really fun though. I really like this deck. This was my first intro building into the Avatar set, and I think it's only been updated as of the Avatar set. So it's almost a year old, but it's still pretty good and a lot of fun to play. The whole premise is the firebending part and keeping that red mana. So everything is built around firebending, holding up red mana, and then using it to dump into, we'll see later, aggravated assault. But Commander, Ozai the Phoenix King. Trample, firebending 4, haste. A 7/7, and when there's mana, he flies. As a commander doing 7 commander damage, flying, and indestructible, this alone can win games. Because you're on a 3-turn clock as soon as I have 7 unspent mana. It's pretty solid. Ashling, more, you don't lose unspent mana. The whole thing is floating around with the idea of unspent red mana stays on my board, so I can spend it on any turn, combat, and anywhere. Roku, another whenever a player attacks at 6 red. That alone triggers Ozai's secondary ability. It's really good. And then once I get big, huge numbers of red mana, I can dump 3 to give everything +3/+0. Turns out really stupid, especially with the additional combats. Delina, more attack triggers. I like the attack triggers. This is specifically to create copies of Ozai, so I can have more things attacking, more things doing firebending. Electro, another thing to keep my unspent red mana. Whenever you cast, more additional red mana. Everything is building up my red mana pool. Firebending Student. Firebending Student is good for if I can modify things. Firelord Ozai. Sacrifice another creature, add red mana. Stupid. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Fire Sages. More. Here's the modifiers for Firebending Student. Can really start doing a lot of floating red mana. Charger. Here's another aggravated assault effect. Untap additional combat phase. And if I attack with Hellkite Charger, I can just keep doing this as long as I'm generating enough mana. Leyline Tyrant, more, keep red mana. And this is a game finisher sometimes, especially in a 1v1. This is why it started to do so well in 1v1s, because I'm sitting there at 40, 50, 60 unspent red mana. I can sack this to another thing. When it dies, I can just pay 40 red and you're dead. Op Agent, like I said, this is a high bracket 4, borderline bracket 5 if I was in a pod. Good cards in this deck. Seeing the Infinite. Oh, right, this is just to have more mana so I can cast my 6-drop commander. Zuko, more firebending. Firebending is the key in this deck. First strike, firebending X. Again. Blood on the snow. Enter in the board wipes. Especially because this deck revolves around Ozai. Mostly Ozai. If he's got indestructible, this doesn't affect me. Damnation, destroy all creatures. Again, directional board wipe. This one's fun. Especially so, this worked really well against a friend of mine's. Let's see, what was it? It was a Simic landfall type deck, and it worked really well because all of their creatures wound up being 3 cost. Tutor. Do or die. Separate. Ooh, this one's fun. So, another kind of partial board wipe. Except they get to choose, and I get to choose the stacks. This one's fun. Little game show adjacent. Exsanguinate. For obvious reasons. I can pay huge amounts into X once I get the firebending going. Final act. 1 or more. Here's a board wipe. And a poison counter. Removal thing. If I want to keep the game going. Imperial Seal, another tutor. Tutors. Jessica's Will. Part 1 of the combos is a Jessica's Will Underworld Breach. Geyser. Super good. Especially mid to late game if I'm struggling to get the firebending going and have Ozai have indestructible and flying. Wait for my turn. Usually people are tapping a bunch of manas. It winds up being very useful mid to late game. Creatures with power less than that creature's power. Directional board wipe again. Everything but Ozai. Sezon's Comet. Firebending 5. Fantastic. Even if I only have a couple creatures on the board, Firebending 5 can get me the aggravated assault combo going. More, I guess not really board wipe, but kind of. Removes 9. Villainous Wrath. Target opponent who's creatures you control. This is specifically added in for the 1v1s. I was playing against a goblin deck, and I think this card won me one of the games. Wheel. Wheels are good. Bolt Bend. Spell cost 3 less. Greater target. Change the target of a spell. Kind of counter adjacent. More of a what's it called? Why can't I think of the name of the card? It'll come to me. Good card. Seething Song. Add a bunch of red mana. 3 costs to float a bunch of red. Works super well. The owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library. This one's fun because I can single target removal for 3. And it does some fun stuff. It's not just a removal. Dark Ritual. Add black to your mana pool. Only for the black side of the Rakdos deck. Not a whole lot of black in the deck, but sometimes I need a couple more. Deadly Rollick. Super nice. free drop most of the time. Deflecting swat, that's what I meant. Change the target. Another great high power card. Love deflecting swat. Ooh, this one's fun. Because I was in a weird game show kick when I built this deck. So there's some coin flips and you choose the problem. This one's funny. Redirect lightning. Another deflecting swat type effect. Change the target. Reiterate buyback. Yeah. This is for, what was it called? Sozin's Comet. So I can get back Sozin's Comet again. Last Agni Kai. Fights target creature. Super good. Excess damage is fun. This is another way to get some big mana, especially if you have a 1/1 on the board. I can choose my Ozai to fight it, and the excess damage, I get 6 red. Tutors. Then we're into artifacts. Obviously Signet. I believe Soul Ring's in here too. Bender's Waterskins, great. I can tap this and float another red mana on everyone's turn. Doubling queued, just have a mana in your hand pool. Fantastic card, especially if I have lands and only like 3 or 4 floating red. Double it. Fire Nation turret at the beginning of combat on your turn. Up to 1 target creature gets +2/+0 and gains Firebending 2. This is another win con. If I can start getting huge red mana, doubling cube, Firebending 5 on everything, multiple attacks per turn, I can start dumping it into this and deal 50 damage to my opponents. Helm of the Host. This is to create copies of Ozai, just because it's super useful. Firebending 4 and flying at a certain point. 7 damage can really start to get absurd. More mana floating. This turns it into colorless. Greaves, just to get that firebending, give it haste. Charge counter, take an extra turn. Oh, I didn't even remember this card in the deck. But with huge amounts of red mana, I can start paying 4 into it pretty quickly and then take extra turns. Signet, Rakdos Signet, just a mana filter. Medallion, so much red stuff. Shadow Sphere, Trample, and Lifelink. Permanents your opponents control lose hexproof and indestructible. This is super useful for the additional combats because I can make them lose hexproof and indestructible until the end of turn. And if I'm running 5, 6, 10 combat phases on a single turn, you're probably going to have to block. Silver Shroud, can't be blocked. Big important thing for Ozai in the early game. Soul Ring, obvious. Boots, more haste. Indulgence, just Rakdos things. Here's the main win con of the deck. 5 cost to untap all creatures and have an additional combat. And if I have at least Firebending 5, that's unlimited combats. just more red. Firebender Ascension, 2/2 red soldier with firebending 1. Super useful. Especially because it just gives me, right off the bat, a 2/2 with firebending. And a lot of times I can turn that into 5. Legend of Roku. So, fantastic card, right? 1 mana of any color. Float the red. More cards in hand by putting them in exile. And then it flips. Avatar Roku. Another firebending 4. And I can dump all of that firebending 4 into red dragon creatures with flying and firebending. Keep getting more and more. Spend that mana on aggravated assault. Get more dragons. Do it again. Firelord Sozin starts off as the Saga. Board wipe. Single card removal from game. And then it flips. Firelord Sozin, firebending 3. Pay X. Again, with all of my floating red mana, I can pay a bunch to X, put any number of creatures from the graveyard onto the battlefield under my control. Just one-sided nonsense. Underworld Breach, paired with Jessica's Will, super useful. And then we have lands. I've got all the sack lands I can play in these color palettes. All the dual lands I can play in these color palettes. And all the shock lands. Sack, City of Brass. I'm thinking about removing these, but for now, any color fixed mana is nice. Command Tower, Orchard. I think I might remove Orchard as well and just put in another utility land. Confluence, again, Pain Lands, Sacks. Now let's see. 12 mountains, 12 swamps. I'm realizing that I should probably up this to like 18 and cut this to about 6. But we'll deal with that some other time. Vista, go search for a land. More sacks. 12 swamps. Just in case I need some more black, I can also turn my mountains into swamps. More sack, and then back over to Ozai. Again, this deck's been super fun. If anything, a little finicky sometimes, but I still really like it. It's been a great time. It's been a lot of fun. I love the whole aggravated assault loop. Infinite combats is a fantastic time, especially once you start getting into 10, 20, or all the way out to infinite combat. It starts to get really funny. Again, I want to highlight no, this deck is not worth whatever, $2,500. Everything is proxied. Except I think I actually have a copy of Ozai from when I opened the Avatar set. But all the high value stuff is proxied. Big proponent of proxying. The game is too expensive right now. I think we need to make the game a little cheaper. But that's a whole other rant for another time. Thanks for watching. This has been Ozai the Phoenix King. And we'll see you next time. Bye.